Hannah and Kevin are with you. Developing story from the NBA. After losing Klay Thompson, the Warriors are not prepared to see the other Splash brother walk. GM Mike Dunleavy said today that Steph Curry will be a Warrior for life. His deal is set to expire after the 25-26 season, but he is eligible to extend it by a year this summer. On the scene at Summer League in Las Vegas is our Warriors reporter, Kendra Andrews. Kendra, what more can you tell us about their plans to make Steph a Warrior for life?
Yeah, Hannah, Dunleavy wants to get Steph locked in, and in order to do so, he said, look, Steph can have pretty much anything he wants. They want to get him on that extension, but those contracts right now aren't booming just because of where we're at in the NBA schedule. It was the draft, free agency. Here we are at Summer League. Steph is in Abu Dhabi with Team USA and the Olympics, but the hope is that as summer continues, those conversations will pick back up. Their number one priority, the top of the Warriors to-do list, is to take advantage of the rest of Stephen Curry's prime. So Dunleavy said every move they're making right now is with that in mind. Get him the best support pieces they can, but in order to support him, they have to have him, right? So they want to get him locked up for beyond the end of his contract. They feel that he has a lot left in the tank.
Yeah, and he's going to make nearly $56 million next season as it stands now. He's going to have to go on without his Splash brother, Klay Thompson. What did Dunleavy say about whether the Warriors will make another move in free agency this summer, Kendra?
Yeah, it's something to monitor, Hannah, but don't expect anything to happen right away. Right now, the market is a little bit quiet. It's not moving very much. And because of that, Dunleavy said we have to go forward as if this group of 14 guys right now is the group we're going to be heading into camp with. And with that group, their young core, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Brandon Pajemski, Trace Jackson Davis, they're going to be relied on heavily. Several of those guys were in and out of the starting lineup last season. And Kuminga and Moody are two guys that Dunleavy said he also wants to find extensions for this summer. For Pajemski and Jackson Davis, they're here in Las Vegas participating in Summer League, trying to get more reps, progress their game more to be ready to contribute in a really big way. Without Klay Thompson, there is a starting job open, and all four of those guys will be competing for that spot.
Interesting. And Kuminga and Pajemski, they combined to average over 25 points a game last season. It'll be fun to watch. Thank you, Kendra.
How active would you describe your current trade talks and, search to keep, improving this roster?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the free agency stuff is kind of calmed down. We're at 14 guys up against the first apron. So adding in that regard right now would be tough, but you're always looking around the league to get better. Talking to teams, exploring stuff. I like our team, but there's also some things that we can look at to improve it. And we'll continue to do that leading up to camp and into the season.
If this is the roster entering the season, how good do you think they can be?
Well, I think a little bit like last year, going into it, I thought we had a better team than the prior year. I feel the same way, but what does that mean? I mean, last year our record was better. We didn't make the playoffs. So, I think we can be better. We should be better, but a lot goes into it. Health, chemistry, all that. But, I feel really good about where we're at. I think our team does too, our coaching staff. So we'll see.
Back to that rumor mill, because that is a name that's been out there before the DeMar DeRozan deal went down. We heard the Kings, potentially Golden State. It seems like the trade talks have cooled off for now. Does it stay that way in your opinion? Do you think it's going to pick back up? Where does he ultimately land in your opinion? And if there is a move, when does it happen?
Listen, if we've learned anything from Danny Ainge, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, but he's going to try to get everything he can from the team that he is going to trade with. We saw that with the Donovan Mitchell situation. The Knicks were willing to give a whole lot up for Donovan Mitchell, but Danny Ainge wanted more. He got more from Cleveland. In his mind, I don't think he did, but whatever, different story, that's of the past. But bringing it back to Lauri, listen, I absolutely love his game. I mean, he averages 4 points per game, almost 8.5 rebounds, shoots almost 50% from the floor, almost 40% from the three. He has drastically gotten better since he first began his career. He's only 27 years old. So I do think that there's a high market for him. I like him in OKC. I think he would be a perfect fit with that young team that they have. He's a skilled shooter. He's a rebounder. He brings so many different assets to a team. He has so many different depths of his game, so many bags to his game, rather, I should say. Like I said, it's a matter of if he gets, when he gets traded, not necessarily if. I think he's too much of an asset for what they're trying to do in Utah, which is, I think, rebuild. Utah's weird. They've always kind of gotten close, not close enough, and now they've gotten rid of Donovan Mitchell and a lot of other other pieces. They just haven't really been able to figure out their groove. They're not quite a rebuild. They're somewhere in the weird middle where there are pieces that you can go ahead and figure out what to do with, but there are pieces that you need to add, and in order to add, you have to trade. So all that to say, Danny Ainge will trade Lauri Markkanen, but he is going to try to get the house, the kitchen sink, the garage, all the dogs, and maybe, you know, a future grandkid in the mix. That's just how he does business. So that's what he's waiting on.
Yeah, I would like to see Lauri Markkanen maybe even find a home with Golden State if they can figure it out. I think Wiggins needs a new home. So if they can figure out, pairing him with Steph Curry and obviously Draymond Green, you lost a lot of shooting with Klay Thompson. I know they made the trade for Buddy Hield, but I think, you know, in this situation, DeAnthony Milton was a nice pickup for Golden State, signing a one-year deal. But I believe that if he can find his way to Golden State, not sure if Golden State has enough trade assets to send back. They probably got to get a third team involved. He would be a nice fit next to Steph Curry.
Gonna get the house, the kitchen sink, a dog.
And the grandkids.
And the grandkids.
Danny Ainge wants it all. The whole family, the whole bloodline.
Interest rates. He wants it all. Nothing.
Curry, hesitation move on Luka. Shoots the three and buries it. Stephen Curry, night.
Let's go. United, we stand in the battle, we fall.
The Dubs dynasty is still very much alive. For the first time ever, he's an NBA Finals MVP. Stephen Curry.
What are they gonna say now?
With Klay Thompson departing this offseason for Dallas, it ends an all-time run by the Warriors' Big Three. I mean, just pause. Take a look here at these accomplishments that we're seeing. They've experienced some of the most success that we have ever seen from any trio that won 4 titles together. That was top of mind when I caught up with Steph Curry and Steve Kerr before their quest for an Olympic gold medal. This is our conversation.
The run is not done. The Golden State Warriors, once again, are NBA champions. 4 championships in 8 years.
Klay Thompson is on his way to the Dallas Mavericks.
Steph, one of the last times that you and I did this, you told me that it didn't even feel close to the last dance. When did that change?
It's something that I never imagined would be a reality, but, you know, you want him to be happy, so it does suck losing Klay. And there's no 2 ways around it. You have to be able to celebrate what we accomplished, but then be able to move on.
Any way you look at it, Steph, Klay, Draymond are kind of the 3 founding fathers of this thing.
I'm very grateful for my time at Golden State. I just felt like moving on could just re-energize me and do something special for the rest of my career.
I know we're all going to have that date circled when he comes back to Chase, and that will be one of the strangest, most emotional nights of all of our careers, for sure.
The Golden State Warriors, they're on top of the NBA world.
Do you think we're ever going to see another dynasty like what you guys built again?
I don't think so. That's, 11 years of, almost 12 years of championship relevancy built around a certain core.
4 of them, baby. What they gonna say now?
It's kind of hard to believe that this is your first Olympics.
Yeah.
Of all the things that you've done, why was this the one that you wanted to do?
I always wanted to play, represent Team USA. I played in 2010 and 2014 on the World Championship teams. We've had some challenges in the World Championships the last couple of years, and just the way that the stars aligned again for me to be healthy. This team that we've assembled is amazing. For me, I knew there's a chapter closing on when being an Olympic athlete would close. So this is probably my first and only opportunity to do it. So I'm excited about it.
This is most likely the last Olympics for Steph, LeBron. It's so much fun seeing these two together because they've had these battles over the years, so many battles. And now to collaborate and to see them working together as leaders and setting a tone for the whole team in practice, it's incredible to watch.
Still early in the process, but you can see like the level, the high IQ, the motor he's talking about, the will to continue to achieve at the highest level. Like we all know what it takes, and this is another way to express just how much we love playing basketball. And when you get to play with other guys that have been on the same shoes you have for however long, it's exciting. So we're leaning into that energy heavily, and hopefully it's enough to carry us to another goal.
You've been around Steph more than anyone, and it was interesting to hear him kind of contextualize, I don't get many firsts anymore. There's not many basketball firsts that I have. Why is he so excited about this opportunity?
Well, I mean, I think it goes to what you just said, what he just said. It's the first, maybe the last time he hasn't competed for an Olympic gold before. He gets to team up with LeBron James for the first time, all of those things. But also when you look at the Warriors the past couple seasons, really since that championship that you highlighted in that interview, the vibe has been different. They've gone through far more downs than they had in the past 10 years. That joy that was so important to the Warriors has been fleeting a little bit. You see him in this environment. There's just so much pure basketball joy. You're with the biggest basketball junkies in the country. And he's feeding off of that right now.
Well, and he said, he's a showman. Yeah. And when he's posing for the camera at the baseline and doing all of those things, it's the Golden State Warriors. It's fun. And the Warriors are in a position right now that they really haven't been in a very, very long time. Because if you take a look right now, according to ESPN Bet, they have 40-1 preseason odds to win the title. Those are the longest odds entering a season since 2012-13. That's when Steph was 24 years old. It's hard to believe it, right? He's entering his 16th season in the league. He'll be 37 next March. He's still producing, though, at an elite level. He says, you know what? He's still in his prime, but Klay's gone. There's a new era of the Dubs that's upon us. They've added some solid role players. I'm looking at Buddy Hield. I'm looking at DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, slow-mo. But Zach, do you think the Warriors have done enough ultimately to continue to build around Steph Curry and maximize this prime here?
It depends what your standard is. I mean, this is what happens to great teams. They get old and they go down the standings. Steph Curry riding out his career on a good team, and the Warriors are a good team, winning 45, 46 games in the West. That ain't easy. Steph Curry riding out his career on that kind of team with young guys coming up, that's a nice, honorable way to end your career. It's not a title team. I don't think it's really close to a title team. And the question the Warriors have to ask themselves is, they're in on these Lauri Markkanen trade talks to the degree those talks are happening. What is the right price for the Warriors to give up out of their young players and their future assets? And how good, depending on what goes out the door, how good is the team that Lauri Markkanen is walking into? Is that really a championship team? Is it really a team that's worth throwing a lot of your future out the door to get Lauri Markkanen? And the guy that I think this is going to coalesce around in the next week or so as the league gathers in Las Vegas is Jonathan Kuminga, who's eligible for an extension, whose role has gone up and down with the Warriors. He is the best young player on the team, the blue chip of the two timelines thing that was kind of an accident. And I just am fascinated to see what their answer to that question turns out to be.
Well, here's the date to keep an eye on, August 6th. Write it down. Yep. That is the first day that Lauri Markkanen can become renegotiation eligible. Utah right now is sitting on $34 million in cap space. They've signed nobody. Everybody else has gone out and done their business. They have not signed anything. It's also synonymous that it's 6 months from the trade deadline. So if Markkanen signs the extension on August 6th, he's still eligible to be traded on February 6th. If he signs it after, he's off the board here. So that's the date to keep an eye on as far as for Markkanen if Golden State is in play.
Right, and it goes back to what we were talking about with the Heat, which is who are the dance partners the Warriors can get. Look, I was told that even last trade deadline, the Warriors wanted to shake things up, but the core group of that team said, no, let us stick together. And the front office said, okay. You see how that season turned out. So now they enter this season saying, we need to make moves.
Well, and to your point about dance partners, we heard Paul George say on his podcast that he really wanted to go to Golden State, but that's not a dance that the Clippers wanted to do. It's not like teams are lining up to help the four-time champion Golden State Warriors, particularly teams in their same conference. So that's a dance they're going to have to do. I don't know whether or not the Warriors are going to continue to try to go big game hunting this offseason because there's not a whole lot of big game left. But it is clear that star players, they love playing with Steph Curry. It's evident in Team USA's praise for the four-time champ.
Who are you most excited to play alongside this summer?
Steph.
I'm going to say, I'll say Steph.
This guy named Steph Curry is phenomenal to play with. He was on my team today, and I got so many open looks.
Just happy to be here. I mean, I'm playing with Hall of Famers. Curry.
I played with him in 14. Both of our games have developed all the way from 14, 10 years ago.
Playing with some amazing talent like this is something you can't take for granted.
I mean, everybody wants to play with Steph Curry. It's just not necessarily reflected in what they were able to do this offseason. So let's go ahead, Bobby, to October, if you could be Mr. October for us here for a second. And the new look Golden State Warriors, the 3D lineup, let's play with it a little bit.
I really like what they did.
Yeah?
I mean, we have DeAnthony Melton in the starting lineup right now. Look at their bench. They got Brandon Podziemski, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody. It's interchangeable. You could put Moody in for Wiggins here. Their depth, I really like their depth. Is it gets you into the top 6? I don't think so. Can it get you more than 46 wins here? Here's what we're talking about from a flexibility standpoint.
Yeah.
We're talking about marketing as far as where they are. The apron. We've talked about the apron. They are hard capped at the first apron. They're only $742,000 below. So if they're going to send out more money in a trade and take back marketing's $18 million, it's not going to work. And then here's what their picks are. Mm-hmm. They have a 2026, 2028, 2030, which is top 21 to 30 protected. They can move that. If San Antonio gets in play for marketing, let's say, they have a loaded draft picks as far as. And then the players are off the board. The 3 players are just signed free agent contracts. They cannot be traded until December 15th. Right. So when you're looking at it, and Zach made a mention about Jonathan Kuminga, if you're not certain about paying marketing in Utah, are you certain about paying Kuminga on a new extension? Because the numbers are basically going to be comparable.
Right, fair. I'm looking at this, though, and you mentioned not top 6. For Golden State, we talk so much about this with LeBron James, saving his legs, not playing that extra play-in game or play-in game or 2. With Steph Curry and an aging roster, how important is that to be in the top 6?
It's huge. I mean, we talked about Miami before. Miami's been kind of hanging around that play-in, and it's cost them. Certainly Jimmy Butler gets hurt in that Philadelphia game. They've got to be in the top 6 if this team is going to advance. And now we look at Memphis, we look at Houston, we look at certainly some of the younger teams, Oklahoma City. I mean, we can go through the list here. They're not in the top 6 here. For them to go through 2 rounds of play-in and then try to advance with an older Steph Curry, that's going to be a challenge.
And they're a little hamstrung, as you just laid out, in what options they have to continue to build this.
It's time for the Warriors to consider a risky move. For years, the Warriors played conservatively, re-signing their veteran stars while using draft picks on young prospects. That was the 2-timeline strategy championed by owner Joe Lacob. While it brought them victory in the 2022 NBA Finals, it proved inadequate to sustain their dynasty. The upcoming offseason emerges as a critical moment for the Golden State Warriors, ready to reshape the franchise's trajectory. Will they commit to one last attempt at winning the championship, or will they opt for a financial restructuring? Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the front office face a series of daunting choices, leaving fans eager to discover the team's next moves. Expectations surrounding Golden State's future intensify. Before you finish, make sure to subscribe to the channel. After all, as we said before, we are producing Warriors videos almost every day. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow on Gold-Blooded News. In conclusion, the future looks uncertain for the Golden State Warriors. With the possibility of losing and adding players to the team and the various trade options available, the Warriors are well positioned to continue to be a force to be reckoned with in the NBA. Stay tuned for more updates on the Warriors, and remember to support by leaving your feedback in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to know when I will send new news. Thank you for following Gold-Blooded News. A hug and see you next time.
We're gold-blooded!
Go Dubs!